Hello everyone. Today my team is talking about JIT in Apple supply chain. And my teammate, myself, Ratana Vishal, Lai Ti, Heng Kon Thiret, Liu Meng Hong, Tin and Kidi Boma. Next slide please. Here are the topics that we will talk about today. First, we have operation management and just in time, or in short, JIT. Next, we have Apple industry analysis, follow with Apple before JIT and Apple JIT operation. And along with that, we have a benefit of JIT for Apple. And also we have about COVID-19 and Apple's JIT. And last but not least, we have a finding and reflection. And I will pass it on to my teammate Lighty for his part.
Okay, so moving on is about so the basics. These are operation management and just in time. So first, I will talk about operation management. So operation management, we can say that it is a business practice, whereas it is a work process function at its best, meaning within an organization, meaning that it's a practice whereby they want the management to be as smooth as possible and to follow a very consistent work process. And so for this just in time, it's a term, or maybe we could call it just a business strategy in operation management or models that allows a business to follow a process concept. And so I've picked out these three reasons why just in time and the features, or we could say that this is the three most important terms in just in time. So the first is reducing production costs. So just in time reduce production costs by having to be as accurate as possible, so the business will have the product at the right time. And second is less stocks in inventory. So when there are less stocks in inventory, the inventory will not come to waste, or the stocks will be as accurate as possible and the stock limit. And the third is the products arriving just in time, meaning that the stocks could be made to order and to arrive at the designated date and time. And then moving on is the important features of just in time. These are the four most important these are the four important features of just in time. So the first is continuous production and short throughput time. And as you have all know, that the throughput time is the amount of time required for a product to pass through the manufacturing process. So when we apply just in time in the organization, there will be continuous production of the product that is being ordered by the organization. Because there is a continuous production, the throughput time will be short because everything has been planned out, and so everything will go smooth and fixed material. And secondly is the reduced inventory, meaning that they know the inventory amount uh, in advance, and they can know what to expect and to manage the inventory and which to rent or not. And third is reduce cost and variability. So this part may relate to the second, where it reduce inventory, because when there's reduced cost, there'll be low stocks in inventory, meaning that there'll be reduction in storage space, which saves rent and insurance costs of the products. And so because in JIT, stocks are being obtained, or the stocks are made to order, so less working capital will be put up front or tied up to stocking up the goods. The fourth and final will be reduce waste. So for reduce waste, uh, the products will help to reduce the stock up of unsold finished goods, meaning that they do not have to worry about unsold finished good, because the products are ordered and then they know when to expect and how to sell it. And then there will be also a reduce in redesign due to the flaws, or maybe the products are being produced in a wrong way, or the product does not function well. So it will reduce waste because the company knows what to expect from their production. And moving on is I would like to talk about the Apple's industry analysis. So Apple target market. So Apple targets market is they target to very potential and very premium innovative products to very like the young adults or the working class. And so they offer a variety of products. So Apple now they offer from phones to computers, which are the iPhones, the iPads, MacBooks, their laptops, and their AirPods. So this range of products are seen in most countries or many. We can also see that there's a growing amount of consumers here in Phnom Penh because many shops are selling Apple and it's very famous and everyone uses it. And then moving on is the demographic part of the analysis, focusing on age group and income level. So for age group, the general customer would be around 18 to 65 years old for customers that would buy Apple's product, and there are no specific. And to be more specific, for the compact devices such as personal computers and cellular mobile phones, it ranges from 25 to 34 years old. And for the income level, the male users, we could say that male users, the most potential male users that will buy Apple product will be ranging from averagely spend of $900 to $1,000. And in the other hand, for female users, it's about lesser because they only have to spend, so for female users, only 500 to 700, they would be potential buyers to Apple. And then here's a chart that talks about the average yearly spend per person for male and female age from 18 to 65 and above that are Apple's potential buyers. So if we look at the graph, we can see that in the range of 35 and to 44, there's a bigger gap here, about 326 difference on the graph. At around this for male is about higher. There's very high gap here. And then moving on is the regions that Apple sells to. So this is a chart that tells about the estimated iPhone sales to end users. So they estimated the sales that are to end users instead of retail because they want to forecast how much the Apples are being sold instead of having to be at the shop sitting there without anyone buying. So if we were to see and analyze this chart, the first would US would come in first place because, well, it's their local market, and also Apple's function in United States, and they are also headquartered there. So most potential would be United States, and as new releases come out, they would ship first to their own local market, which is United States, and then moving on, the second place would be China. China is also another big region that Apple sells to, because Apple, they manufacture their product materials that are located in China, and they have very many factories in China that they receive their products and also to make iPhones. And if you were to check in iPhone, if you were to look at the back, they say it's made in China because most of their products are the parts are in China and located there. And then moving on is Europe. Europe is also another big consumers of their tech, and then Japan and the rest of the world. So moving on is Apple market structure. So it's very general that Apple is in the technological sector because they produce very like mobile phones that are smart mobiles, or MacBook, which is all about technology and innovation. So Apple has gained most of their revenue through a local market, which is the US, and then the international market, also called as the foreign markets. And these are the three main Apple's competitors. They are Dell, HP, and Asus. These three are the competitors for their computers and peripherals of Apple. And Dell back in the years, they also tried to manipulate Apple by creating Dell DJ, which is a similar product to their Apple iPod. It's a music player back then when Apple was releasing their new model called iPod, which is a music player that acts like a small mobile phone that you can launch music, but you cannot call because it's not cellular, but they'll try to make something similar called the Dell DJ. So these three are the most competitive competitors right now to Apple. And moving on is the cellular mobile phones and tablet competitors for Apple. So Apple, the biggest competitors for them right now is Samsung and Google. And as seen, Samsung, this is the latest model called the Galaxy S21 Ultra. And for Google, this is the Google Pixel 5. So for Samsung, the competitive part is that they create products that are very similar to Apple, because like this phone, if you can see, they have very similar design, and they have like the camera, they are always backlighting in their camera, because iPhones keep releasing new and more clearer camera, as well as Samsung, where they would like to compete in that market. And also they also compete in the tablet market as well, because Samsung has the tablet, the S Note, the notes that are similar to Apple's iPad. And for Google right now, we could say that it's not that big, because it's only located in the US, and Google is not very famous in the other country. But it also counts as Apple competitors, because there's a growing sales in the US. And moving on, these are the Apple's competitive advantage over their competitors. And these are the three most competitive advantage. Apple has a high quality and reasonable price, because their iPhones can be very durable, and the price is worth it, because the materials that come with it can be guaranteed, and the phones will always be in a good shape, and there will be no mistake, and everything will function well, and the customer will like it. And secondly is their great customer service. Their great customer service, if you say customer service, when, for example, if you are buying the phones in the United States, they offer maybe a free or paid 1-year warranty, which means that if that warranty will include the parts and also the phone. If in the 1 year the phone broke down, and then the company is not able to fix it, they will actually exchange a new phone, a brand new one in the same model, or an upgraded one. And the third is a best-in-class user interface, which means that they are very good with their AI section, because they have the ability of the human and machine connection, because they usually have their customer service online, and they have very active emails and staff that will give a very good detailed explanation of the problem that you have coming to their shop. And I think I have done my part. And moving on, I would like to hand it to Thierry to talk about Apple before JIT.
So now let's move on to my part. I would like to talk about Apple before JIT. So before we investigate how the JIT is being actualized into Apple inventory network, we should investigate Apple supply chain activity before it was presented. Prior to Tim Cook, who joined Apple in 1998 as the COO that bring JIT framework into Apple's operational administration, there were two sure quality about the past store network activity that were making Apple numerous misfortune issue. So the first issue that we should look is the variety of products. In 1997, Apple's scope of items was extremely wide, as there were various variety of the Mac that were underway. Apple used to acknowledge requests from their clients and produce it as it was requested. A lot of assortment and modest number of options each made shortcoming and broadly put Apple at high danger disappointment. For example, in 1997, to protect Apple that was confronting failure, Steve Jobs has chosen to chop down the quantity of Apple items fundamentally and focus on making 4 sorts of items. Likewise, the iMac, PowerMac, iBook, and PowerBook. Steve Jobs have diminished the quantity of Apple items by 70% and chose to just make one work area and compact PC for both the expert and typical clients. Moving on to the next slide is the second issue that Apple was having is having a large number of industrial faculty and stock. Having such a large number of production line and distribution center can, since data about the stock level can be firmly observed. Previously, Apple has loads of processing plants and distribution centers, which imply that the merchandise are spread around wherever, which cause trouble in the controlling, creation, and stock. Besides, the more stock Apple have close by, the additional time they need to clear up the stocks. Overloading and overproduction made clear up stock hopeless. As stock sit on the rack, it's began to lose its value, particularly innovation items that have a day-to-day expense pattern of just around 1 year. For example, Tim Cook, the current CEO of Apple, said that he regularly contrasted his stock with daily items. It can lose 1 to 2% of its value consistently. This has prompted trouble for Apple to collect the benefit as it requires some investment to sell those items out. Apple had the option to chop down the available stock turnover from a month to just a short time after Tim Cook chose to close down 10 out of 19 stock rooms. Apple required a month to get out their stock, which was an extensive stretch of time, and the chance span of this period was enormous for Apple. So this is all for my part, and I would like to pass this to one of my teammates, Hong.
Thank you, Tere, for your clear analysis on Apple's supply chain operation before they have implemented just in time. So as Tere have mentioned above, there were many areas that Apple were caught lacking, and also many problems that have emerged due to many inefficiencies in Apple's supply chain. After the introduction of just-in-time at Apple, Apple have tried to modify their supply chain in various areas in order to make JIT fit better and also work better in their supply chain. The first area that they have implemented is, next please, is supplier. As we all know, supplier is the source of raw materials for a production line. So if there is no supplier, the supply chain cannot work. For Apple, their suppliers play a crucial role in maintaining the feasibility of their JIT operation. So Apple tried to gain control over their suppliers by setting rules and regulations as well as requirements for their suppliers to meet. And for example, Apple have published an Apple Supplier Code of Conduct, which range requirements ranging from human rights and labor force to environmental issues to responsibility of suppliers, including the responsibility to source raw materials. And next slide, please. And as you can see in this slide, the right-hand picture shows that in the Supplier Code of Conduct 1.4 production planning, Apple stated that suppliers shall plan production schedules to meet committed production capacity, committed lead time, and the 60 hours per work week and 1 day of rest and 7 days requirements. And this has shown that Apple have tried to set requirements for their suppliers to stay committed to the production capacity and lead time that they have agreed on. Next slide, please. Apple also try to create and maintain close relationship with their supplier, because comes with close relationship is a close exchange of information. And by this close exchange of information, Apple can ensure that the quantity and the quality of the supplies from their supplier can meet their high demand. In order for their JIT operation to be maintained, Apple offers exclusive contracts that contain incentives like investments into suppliers' factory, as well as Apple having to pay high amount of production upfront fee. Next slide, please. For instance, in the late 2013, Apple have agreed to sign a contract of $700 million in order to invest in their supplier, one of their suppliers named GD Advanced Technologies, in order to help them to produce a new type of iPhone screen, which is made from sapphire crystal. And this has shown that Apple is willing to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in order to invest in their suppliers to gain close relationship and good suppliers customer relationship with their suppliers. Next, please. The next area that Apple has focused on is production. Apple try to lower their range of products by having only 5 main product lines. According to Apple.com, Apple 5 main product lines are the iPhone, the iPad, the Apple Watch, the MacBook, and services and accessories. When Apple have a low amount of product, Apple can decrease their variability in their production line. When they have low variability, their production line is more productive, more efficient, and it means that they can mass produce much more easily, because say, for example, if the production line is for an iPhone, but the iPhone and the iPad it's not that much of a difference. So their production line is very convertible. For instance, if the demand for an iPhone, for the iPhone has rapidly risen in a short amount of time, say 1 week. In a week, the demand for iPhone is very high, and the iPad stays the same. So Apple can convert their production line of iPad into the production line of iPhone in order to ramp up the production of the iPhone to meet the demand, the new demand. Next. On top of that, Apple also use strategic planning for their assembly plan. As we all know, most of Apple products are being assembled in China, and the most important features that China have that has attracted Apple to set up their assembly plan there are 3 main important features, and that includes high labor force, low wages, as well as many of Apple suppliers are either Chinese companies or companies that have factories that are based in China. Next, please. So everyone should have know this phrase: designed in California, assembled in China. So what are the real reasons that have caused Apple to design their phone halfway across the Pacific and assemble their phone in China, and then ship them back to the US? Next, please. So The results from our studies have shown that the population of China is very huge when compared to US, which is 1.4 billion people, and there are 800 million labor force ready to work. On top of that, 46 of total suppliers of Apple are either Chinese company or has Chinese-based factory, and this tremendously increased the mobility of supplies, and also shorten the delivery time of raw materials from the suppliers to the assembly plants. And the last point is that the minimum wage, hourly wage in China compared to the US is very low. In China, the minimum hourly wage is only $3.15 when compared to the US $7.25, and US hourly wage is more than double of China's. Next, please. Last but not least, Apple also use Kanban system. However, Apple's Kanban system is not the ordinary Kanban system. Apple have improved the Kanban system by including subcontractors into their supply chain, because as we all know, conventional Kanban system cannot include subcontractors in the supply chain because of their nature of build to stock and not build to order. Apple have introduced Global Demand Visibility, which is a program that enable Apple to maintain close monitoring of their inventory. So Apple knows the amount of inventory that are in hand, the amount of inventory that are currently in delivery, and also the amount of inventory that are in the work of process. Next, please. And the third area of the supply chain that Apple has focused on is the inventory. Apple has used a system called Central Warehousing System, which eliminates warehouses and only focus on one central warehouse in each distribution center. With only one central warehouse, Apple can easily control the stock, control the inventory of their products, and they can also maintain an accurate data about their inventory level, and they can use this the accurate data to set the amount of product that needs to be ordered on their Kanban card back to the assembly plant. Next. The last areas of supply chain that Apple has focused on is the logistics. Apple tried to shorten the order lead time, which in average in June 2020, the average lead time for iPhone 11 and 11 Pro 64 gigabyte is only 1.6 days, and lead time for AirPods Pro and AirPods second generation is only 1.7 days. With shortened order lead time, Apple can have their products in their customers' hand very quickly. Because, for instance, if you're an Apple customer, if you want to buy an iPhone and you order on the first day of the month, and then you have to wait 1 month to get your product, do you still want to buy that iPhone? And will the customer satisfaction remains the same? The answer is no. Next, please. Another tactic of logistics that Apple has used is drop shipping. Drop shipping is a method where companies ship the products directly from factories to their customers. And drop shipping has been used by Apple for sales on their Apple online store. This avoids the shipping costs and also the inventory costs like holding costs, setup costs, because the products that are being delivered directly from the factories to the customers without Apple having to handle it as the middleman. So this can also help their retail stores to maintain a leaner inventory, and also they can also focus more on selling at the store and not handling products that are being sold on the online store. Next, please. The last method of logistics that Apple wants implement in order to have in order for their JIT operation to be successful is air shipment. Air shipment ensures that fast and reliable delivery of products are being secured. And although air shipment are costlier than ocean cargo, but the high price and the high marginal profit of each Apple product can bear the cost. Next, please. For instance, our research has shown that the iPhone profit margin is it's around 200%, and one air cargo costs $242,000 to charter, which can carry 450,000 iPhones, which the cost per unit of iPhone in order to ship by air is $0.53, and the duration is ranging from 3 to 5 days. When we compared, the cost per unit for ocean cargo is only $0.07, which is 7 cents. But the duration is way longer, which is 30 days or more. So the opportunity cost of using ocean cargo and not air shipment is very huge for Apple, and the high profit margin of 200% can absolutely bear the cost of the air shipment. Next, please. Into my last slide. This slide I want to show you in brief how the Apple supply chain and the JIT operation of Apple works. So first of all, suppliers from many different countries like the US, Japan, Italy, Germany, South Korea ship their raw material to the assembly plant of Apple in China. And that assembly plant is famously known as Foxconn. And then Foxconn produce the product, assemble the product, and ship the finished product to the central warehouse at each distribution centers that Apple have located. And then these central warehouses then ship the products to the retail stores all around the world. And also the retail store also acts as an inventory for Apple. So when the inventory of Apple product at the retail store reach the reorder point, they will send Kanban cards to their central warehouse, and their central warehouse will see if the central warehouse can ship the amount of products that are required by a retail store, and if not, they can send another Kanban card to the assembly plant, and assembly plant can also send Kanban card to suppliers for more raw materials, and that's how the system works. So that is all for my part, and now I'm gonna hand the presentation to Daratin. Thank you.
Thank you, Hong. For my part, there will be only a brief explanation about benefits of JIT. The benefit of JIT is very crucial, not only that it allows the company to profit more, but also enhance the ability of their operating process and their supply chain management. Excuse me. And we'll excuse me. And we'll be talking about 6 main benefits that Apple receive from using JIT. Next slide, please. So the first advantage is forced problem solving. With JIT, it will help Apple to identify the inefficiencies and problems within the supply chain much quicker. And JIT also help to force Apple problems by shutting down tens of its own 19 warehouse in the US and create a much better supply chain management by using a so-called central warehouse as a result. Next. The second benefit would be product launch boost. When it comes to product launch, every company has to be aware about their old technologies. In this case, Apple's old products after releasing a new one, because every iPhone, every products that the Apple released only excuse me, only worth up to 10 to 12 months. And according to the current CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, his strategy is also to minimize the stock of the company because it will help the companies to spend less or cost less to the company when it comes to releasing a new model. On the other hand, such competing companies such as Samsung or Oppo and other competitors who does not have this kind of lean inventory or the same method of using JIT will face a much harder problem than Apple, giving a huge competitive advantage for Apple when they launch their new products. The reason why it says that Apple won't compete with its own product, it is because Apple case where they only traditionally their inventory low. So when the old models, when the new model come out, the old models will be either sell at a discount or incur in a loss due to its small number. So the next slide will be shown as an example, please. Next slide. Just like you see on the slide, the competition between iPhone 11 and iPhone 12, at first, as the iPhone 12 release, it starts at the price of $699, and the iPhone 11 will now sell at $599. By having a less of iPhone 11 model in hand, the competition between the Apple new product, the iPhone 12 and the iPhone versus the iPhone 11 would not make too significant problem for the company to deal with. Next. This will be the third benefits that Apple received from using JIT. With JIT, it also benefited Apple by reducing the space requirement, as well as giving a greater flexibility to the company. Apple have significantly had an advantage over other competitors, such as the shipment and how they distribute their product to customers around the world. Apple does not hold onto their inventory as a whole, whereas they give opportunities to their partners or their distributor in other parts of the world, like shown in the map, where we can see in Asia, particularly China, Europe, which is mostly in the UK, and they will be the one who deal with the delivery and help Apple in the US to save expense such as their warehouse costs, rent costs, and other more costs. With this delivery in talk, Apple also take advantage over drop shipping that will be explained in the next slide. According to the slide, the way Apple has taken advantage over the drop shipping is that they do not need to stock their products or items in many warehouses. They would have one main warehouse that is the central warehouse for any order within the country or in the neighbor country within the American continent. If there are any other order besides the continent, they will then give an alert to other authorized distributor to deal with the overseas shipping and delivery to the customers. With this in mind, it will also benefit the company in the faster delivery, help in reducing wastage and lowering their storage costs. With the effort of fulfilling customer demand, the company has also showed an increase in customer satisfaction and will help Apple to gain more, increasing profit that will lead in a goodwill. Next. The fourth benefit is increasing productivity and sales. Apple, in addition, does have a lot of improvement from using JIT, as it helped to increase productivity and machine utilization. With the use of JIT, it would help hasten the setup of packaging and help in a smaller lot of production that will increase in quality and productivity for the company, making it quicker for them to sell. For automatic purchasing, it is just like how we order items online. We can just, it is more convenient for the customer. They do not have to come by to the store manually. They can just like go onto the website and click whatever items they want to buy it from the store. Next slide, please. As shown in for this slide, in 1998, when Tim Cook, the current CEO, joined, he suggested to buy up $100 million worth of holidays air freight month in advance. And moreover, as is shown on this picture on the left, you can see that the Apple as a supplier has performed a well performance for their company, where they gained up about to 46% from 2015 to 2019. Next, please. The fifth advantages or benefit that Apple has from JIT is better inventory turnover. JIT helps to reduce the amount of time they hold and increase inventory turnover. This helps Apple to gain competitive advantage in the industry. With the SCM, or supply chain management of the company, they merge the activity of manufacturer, retailer, and designer in one and deliver it to the customers as the earliest possible. Again, showing a customer focus. With JIT, they have reduced the amount of time inventory that was before recorded on their balance sheet in months, and now they turn it into days, which also help them to benefit by they can release more products such as their iPhone hardware throughout the globe. If we look at the graph show, this is a graph that illustrate the turnover where it shows that Apple are 2 times better than Dell, 5 times better than HP, 4.5 times better than BlackBerry, and 5.5 times better than Motorola. Next slide, please. This slide is a graph that shows in Apple's annual inventory. With those benefits above, it makes a lot of drastic change in following years until 2016, as its annual inventory peaks to a value of 4.8 billion. However, from then it declined in 2018 at a percentage of 18.52% in a decreased value of 2.9 billion. Though it was a harsh situation for them. However, with the customer says the way they process their operating, they managed to tackle it back and bounce their annual inventory back up by 3.79% in 2019 to the value of $3.8 billion. Next. Moving to my last point is free up capital for other use. With JIT involved, it would make the company more profitable from gaining positive outcome by reducing the time and lowering their products cost, leading to a higher productivity in the company. As Apple uses JIT, it results in a lean inventory turnover, meaning that the higher the number of the sales, the better. By having to free up the capital, Apple can look through other investment like R&D or research and development. they have put up to they have invested to up to $20.5 billion in total, where they invest 2.5 in 2019 and another 18 billion in 2020. Can you next slide, please? In a positive side of this investment, it also gives other significant outcome by gaining more customers and be even more popular, which result in they also have received a title of one of the most competitive over-the-top media service market by officially launched the Apple TV. In addition, Apple does not only have one strategy, but by using JIT, but also they have another strategy of using money, cash, to gain even more competitive in the market by accessing to more advanced and updated technologies. This gives a hard time to the competitors such as Samsung and other competitors in the market to struggle, making Apple to be a very competitive competitor to compete with. This is all I have to say for the benefit of JIT. Now we'll pass on for the next section to my teammate Boma.
Thank you, Daratin. I will be covers about the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemics on the Apple productions. Next slide, please. The COVID-19 pandemic had an impact on the Apple production and the just-in-time manufacturing that being used in the Apple. This outbreak caused Apple to shut down our retail store, corporate office, and contact center in China, as well as in other countries, which had a major impact on the Apple sales. Apple production was affected because the JIT operation could not implement during this pandemic. Many of the Apple suppliers in China were forced to shut down their productions. There was a difficulty in the assembly process because some components like camera, audio, subsystem are produced in China, while the headline components like silicon screen are made in the other country. The shipment from supplier also take longer and also keep delaying since they are using the build-to-order operations. Also, there was a shortage of labor due to the travel restriction and the mandatory quarantine policy to the Apple's workers. Next slide, please. In addition, the new MacBooks and iPhones that were already in production also got highly affected because they require a lot of labor and also a lot of assembled parts that are manufactured in different places. This have also caused the iPhone 12 models could not release as planned and was delayed till the 23 October. Even though just-in-time manufacturing is highly efficient, but during this pandemic, the company faced transportation issue, logistics management issue, and also the supply chain problem due to the shortage of accessory, labor, and staff. Next slide, please. Moving on to the Apple solution to problems. Apple had addressed this issue by opening more than 300 Apple stores worldwide with safety requirements, including mandatory masks, limits on the quantity of individuals within the store, social distancing, temperature checks. Next slide. Moreover, the Apple had negotiated and let their employees work from home and also providing unlimited sick leave to those employees who were infected by the virus. Most importantly, Apple switched their operation system by reopening their store only for repairing service and order online pickup with limited in-store access. Meanwhile, the customer can purchase from the online Apple store that is available on the Apple website and as well as the Apple store. Next slide, please. Moving on to the Apple boost their sales during this pandemic. Apple started reopening their store and factory when the situation was in favor and COVID case decreasing. With the reopening of the factory, Apple was able to improve their lead time and kickstart their supply chain to be back on track. The iPhone 11 and AirPods Pro lead time were dramatically decreased from between 13.6 days to only 1.6 days. Although just-in-time manufacturing was affected during this pandemic, but Apple still managed to boost their sales by selling the new iPhone 12 and still made Apple annual revenue for 2020 reach 294.135 billion US dollar, which is a 9.88% increase compared to the 2019 revenue. Next slide. There are still many possible problems in the future that can be brought from other diseases such as the COVID-19 strain, flu, also the natural disasters such as tsunami, earthquake, flood, and also unstable global economy, copycat or cheap product from the Apple competitor, overcharging from the supplier, and new government regulation, and also an increase of tax rate, etc. On the other hand, Apple can prevent this problem by using the economics or the quantity in order to order according to the demand of the products and the economy of the country. Moreover, the company should have more than one supplier in each assembled accessory in order to prevent the problems that occur from the natural disaster. That is all from my part. I will pass the floor to Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I will talk about finding and reflection. Next slide, please. First off, finding, we have two main points. It is a benefit of JIT in Apple supply chain and also the impact of COVID-19 on Apple. The benefit of JIT in Apple supply chain include the fast problem solving, speed up product launch, the cost saving, increased productivity sale, better inventory turnover, and free up capital. And then for the impact of COVID-19 on Apple, it makes retail store shut down and also affect Apple production of their product and also make JIP unable to be implemented correctly. Next slide, please. And as for the reflection from this paper, we have learned that JIT has provided real benefit to Apple, and JIT cannot be implemented by just any particular company. JIT can be hit hard by natural disaster or situation that causes the unexpected delay in supply chain. And lastly, a clear blueprint is needed in order to implement the JIT system. Next slide. So in conclusion, Apple is one of the most successful tech companies in the world, and the company that uses the just-in-time system in order to satisfy their customer base, which start from the younger generation until the elder generation. And for that, Apple has used JIT in order to gain more sale and also the popularity among the people. And for just in time, it helped Apple by this way, but Apple has also faced the COVID-19 pandemic that has resulted in losses such as closing of store and also losses of sale due to the COVID-19 reducing the production.